And on behalf of the Premier, Peter Gutwin, thank you all for coming and thank you all for your hard work making this new project a reality. And I too would like to begin by acknowledging and paying my respects to the traditional owners of this land, the Muhunina people, and I pay my respects to their elders past and present. And that was a marvellous opening. Thank you so much, Teresa. I'd also like to acknowledge here today the Honourable Dame Quentin Bryce, Grant O'Brien, Chair of the Port Arthur Historic Site Management Authority, CEO Jonathan Fisher, and Director Crystal Buckley. I'd also like to acknowledge in attendance some of my Tasmanian parliamentary colleagues. If I miss anyone, just wave your hand. I know there's quite a few here today, which is a great supporter. I've just spotted one there, so we'll make sure we mention the Honourable Craig Farrell first. We have the Honourable Joe Palmer, MLC, Cassie O'Connor, MP. I believe Senator Betts is here. Unfortunately, Lisa Archer is not, and I know she's such a strong supporter of this project, so I wanted to make special mention of that. Lara Giddings, former Premier, first female Premier, welcome. Hopefully I haven't missed anybody. As well, we have federal parliamentary colleagues. I've mentioned Erica Betts, Andrew Wilkie, MP, I did see him before, and as I said, Lara is with us today as well. I am truly honoured to announce the reopening of the World Heritage listed Cascades Female Factory and the new installation, the History and Interpretation Centre. The Tasmanian Government recognises the importance of this place and the significant historical stories of female convicts who inhabited the site where we stand today. Working with the Port Arthur Historic Site Management Authority and in line with recommendations from the World Heritage Committee, our government committed $3 million in funding to develop the History and Interpretation Centre with a view to creating an iconic addition to Tasmania's convict history and sharing many of these relatively unknown stories with visitors. The Commonwealth Government also recognises the significance of this site, and I really do want to acknowledge their commitment of a further $2.24 million to facilitate this redevelopment. I've just spotted Eric there. At the risk of embarrassing him, thank you so much for your support in securing that funding. Around 7,000 female convicts were housed at this site from 1828 to 1856, an institution that was intended to reform and incarcerate women as punishments for the crimes they have committed. And I've sought special permission just to make a small anecdote here, and that I have a personal connection to this place with my female convict ancestors 4 generations ago. Caroline Gabry, who was part of a gang of female pickpockets and thieves specialising in high-end fashion accessories. Fabulous women who are also very, very good at hiring barristers and staying out of jail for a long time, ending up on a hulk in the Thames where they're interviewed by Charles Dickens for the crime of poverty. So let's remember that times were very different then and people did what they needed to do to survive. But I'm very proud of that story, and I think the Tasmanianness of it is really wonderful. To be here as Minister for Women today just shows that the wheel does turn. That we've helped shape the important cultural heritage of our island state, convict women particularly, and through their stories of hardship, resilience, mateship, camaraderie and sheer determination that is inherent in all of our society but shown in abundance by these women. Now we have internationally recognised places of historical value here, and with this site in particular welcoming more than 34,000 visitors in 2018-2019. Of course that's prior to COVID-19, but let's hope things get back to normal soon. With the ongoing uncertainty of interstate and international travel due to the pandemic, the Port Arthur Historic Site Management Authority recognised the opportunity to move forward with their already gazetted development plan. So that was good thinking and good timing. The new interpretive experience of the Cascades Female Factory offers an important and engaging look at the role of women during convict era and echoes their influence in contemporary Australia. Importantly, it also shares the Aboriginal history of the site, and we're very cognizant of that. The Cascades Female Factory will continue to draw international, national and local visitors to Hobart, building capacity for sustainable tourism and raising public awareness of conservation principles, sharing expertise and knowledge with other World Heritage sites and protected areas, and building increased understanding of the need to protect these sites for future generations. This site will also support and serve as an historical education tool as well as a visitor attraction. So this site is an important pillar in our convict story that can be followed throughout Tasmania and is an essential educational experience for visitors and also Tasmanians. The site and this new History and Interpretation Centre will officially welcome visitors from tomorrow, 26th of March, and so it is my great pleasure to declare the Cascades Female Factory officially open.
Thank you so much, Minister, for officially opening the site, for your eloquent words and for sharing the story of your family. Isn't it remarkable? Descended of female convicts, crimes of fashion, crimes of fashion, but also reminds us that in those days poverty was considered to be a crime. Basically, you committed crime because of poverty. If you're a woman and became pregnant out of wedlock, that was considered to be a crime. So a salient reminder on how much life has changed, and you'll see more about that in the History and Interpretation Centre. Thank you, Madeleine Ogilvie. Crystal Buckley has spent more than 30 years. The Honourable Dame Quentin Bryce has enjoyed a rich and distinguished career as an academic, lawyer, community and human rights advocate. In 2008, Dame Quentin was the first woman to be appointed Governor-General of Australia. However, her pioneering role in advocacy came well before that. In 1968, she became the first female member of the Faculty of Law at the University of Queensland. And in 1978, she joined the National Women's Advisory Council. Her former roles include as Director of Queensland's Human Rights and Equal Opportunity Commission, Federal Sex Discrimination Commissioner, Chair of the National Childcare Accreditation Council, and Principal and CEO of the Women's College within the University of Sydney. In 2003, she was appointed Governor of Queensland, continuing her work with women, families and young people, while extending her influence across regional, rural, aged, Indigenous, migrant and disability sectors. Would you please give a warm and embracing welcome to the extraordinary, the Honourable Dame Quentin Bryce.
Thank you, Tracy, for your kind and generous introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. How lovely it is to be here again in your gorgeous city. It's extraordinary natural beauty, sophisticated urban and environmental design. And I must say, I'm very grateful to you, Crystal, for the marvellous way you acknowledged everybody engaged in what we stand in today. It is magnificent design, architecture, such attention to detail, and on this wonderful sunshiny morning here, we can truly appreciate its magnificence. And that design excellence applies, of course, in the traditional and the contemporary in Tasmania. I carry in my heart warmest memories of enriching times here across my life, and I'm thrilled that my children and their families are frequent visitors who've also come to love its pure serene, including just in the last couple of weeks. And you know the way grandchildren send you massive numbers of photographs of themselves. But I could see through those photos their joy in your magnificent landscape, which touched my heart, I must say, as it always does, flying into the airport. The water's edge, every aspect of this glorious environment. Minister, thank you too for sharing that delicious little bit of family history, which wouldn't have surprised any of us really, I don't think. Madeleine Ogilvie, who's representing the Premier this morning, the Minister for Small Business, Hospitality and Events, for Disability Services, Minister for Women and Minister for Racing. What a list. And so many distinguished guests who have been acknowledged here this morning. I pay my respect to the first occupants of this land, the Indigenous people of Tasmania, and to the traditional keepers. And Teresa, if I may, thank you for your wonderful welcome. So much information packed into that that I look forward to learning a lot more about, but I truly appreciate it, as I know everybody here did. I always like to acknowledge the debt of gratitude that I owe to wise Indigenous women who've taught me across my life what it means to be an elder, sharing language, country and culture. My friends, it's a true delight for me to be returning to the Cascades Female Factory this morning, to be part of the next chapter, taking Australia's historical past to its future. I remember with pleasure and affection my first visit to this site in February 2009. It was early in my term as Governor-General, and I was greeted then by Premier the Honourable David Bartlett. I recall so well walking through, feeling deeply touched by the female factory, the memorial garden, the matron's cottage, and planting a tree. Always a very special thing to do, a symbol of hope. And I was looking forward to seeing it this morning, but I believe it's been transplanted to another place at Port Arthur. To be invited back today to recognise the significant next chapter in Australian women's history is an honour for me. And I want to say thank you to Grant O'Brien, Chair of the Port Arthur Historic Site Management Authority, and to Jonathan Fisher, CEO, for their thoughtful gesture. These new facilities truly are impressive, and they will serve as an important historical marker of the distances we have travelled. My friends, how fragile and how precious is the human spirit. The transportation of 165,000 convicts has been well documented in historic records. Men and women sent from England and Ireland, and I noted their places of origin in the graphics along the hallway there. I was pleased to see Scotland was mentioned first, primarily for the purpose of building Australia's population base. Early settlers who had little or no understanding of the Indigenous peoples. Men, women and children who led a rich and abundant life on this land of fertile earth. Good food and water supplies. They were harmonious times for them, but suddenly and dramatically enormous change as the original inhabitants faced a series of bloody encounters with the Europeans. Diseases brought by these settlers decimated the Aboriginal population. 25,000 women were among the transported settlers, crammed into the dark holes of ships on their 16,000-mile journey to the other side of the earth. They left their homeland in most desperate of circumstances, banished for petty crimes, the theft of food, a few coins or a shawl, stealing to sustain their starving families. Yes, poverty was a crime. Many arrived with small children, facing an unknown place, an unknown future, with little hope of ever seeing loved ones ever again or home. Those incarcerated here at the Cascades Female Factory were split into tiers according to their crimes. Many were sent to serve the local landowners as cooks and housekeepers. Some became pregnant, not through choice, and were sent back to the penitentiary. Pregnancy outside of marriage was deemed a criminal offence. When the women gave birth, their babies were taken from them and sent to the local orphanage. Many mothers, most mothers, never ever saw their little ones ever again. The Cascades Female Factory confronts these stories. It is confronting, so painful, so cruel, so long forgotten. They enable the past to echo in our presence, and they are of huge import in driving engagement and curiosity. My friends, despite the heinous treatment of our early convict settlers and our local Indigenous community, we now share these stories with deep respect, with sorrow and sadness, as they enhance our knowledge and understanding of our nation's history. There remains so much more for us to learn. We must honour the hardships and protect the dignity of the women who served in these very humble quarters. There was a time when convict ancestry was hidden, and a degree of shame was associated with what was considered a criminal bloodline. A key role of the Cascades Female Factory is to tell this Australian story and to tell it with confidence. My friends, I appreciate enormously the opportunity to be in this place for reflection and celebration of the courage of the founding mothers of modern Australia. Today, too, we must acknowledge those who did not survive. Our new interpretive experience of the lives of convict women and of the local Aboriginal history connects us with contemporary social issues. It engages diverse audiences in reflecting on common questions of belonging, of individualism, social control, a transnational flow of ideas, exclusion, dispossession, punishment, deviance, reform, survival, resilience. The History and Interpretation Centre features, as we have heard, 24 women who share their personal stories. And what evocative images the photographs are that present them. So much to look into and think about in those faces. Their connection to the site via ancestral links, those who have amplified the voices of women through research, advocacy, writing and community outreach. They remind us that the trauma of displacement and forced exile are experiences not only confined to our past, they are the lived experience of millions around our world today, including many who now call Australia home. Today we honour and celebrate bravery and courage. We cannot change the past, but we can use its lessons to shape our future. I congratulate Premier Gutwein and the Commonwealth Government for realising the potential and the power of this site, for investing in handing on the story of Australia's rich tapestry. And I want to offer congratulations on behalf of our community to the Port Arthur Historic Site Management Authority. I haven't quite got the acronym, for bringing this project to life. It opens our eyes and our hearts to ensure that we learn from the past and that we all unite to move forward, where equality becomes the norm and why women will continue to fight for it. Thank you, my friends.